Was muted. My bad.
No. That was on YouTube. Okay, Sandra, count it down. And sorry, Hartej, you ready?
I'm ready, bro. I was born ready.
Fuck yeah! I love. Darn yeah, we're on YouTube. Okay, Sandra.
Yeah, give me a few seconds because we're now going live on YouTube.
We're now going live on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen.
It is. So we press record also for the computer. Boom. We are live. So good afternoon, everybody. Another Crypto Wednesday show. This is show, I think, number 21. We are already almost close to half a year of running our weekly Crypto Wednesday show that Gordon and myself initiated, like I said, 5-6 months ago. We're really happy to have great speakers and alumni speakers and friends from all around the world in today's show and in all the other shows. And today we have Hartej, and we're really grateful, Hartej, for you spending some time with us. So thank you for being on the show. Just for everybody that's watching the recording, or maybe that's...
Oh, Sander, we're losing audio or something.
1 second.
Here, I'll pick it up. For everyone who's watching the show on YouTube, this has been recorded live December 2nd, 2020. We are a global institution. We got Sander in Amsterdam. We got Gordon in Los Angeles. It is dark outside. It is 5:30 a.m., but I am up for you, my people, my crypto people. And we got Hartej, my good friend, who's going to do a full intro of himself in Kiev right now, the city of my dreams, where I'm heading in a couple of months. God bless you, my brother. And I just want to do, as a preliminary note, that I love Zoom bombers. If you're a Zoom bomber and you come on here and you may say your little N-word or you show your funny graphic, I will freaking toss you to the curb, and I love that shit. I'm vicious. Bring your fresh meat. You're nothing to me. I can out-meme you all day long. Okay? Don't mess with Einstein. Just saying. So here we are. Highest energy show in crypto. Sergey, Marco, Rolf, everyone. Love you guys. Thank you, Austin. I think I saw you pop in here. Love you all for joining. Sander, hopefully your audio is back on. So I'm going to pass it to you for a second, my good buddy. Peace, love, Sander.
Yeah, we're live all over. So we're live on YouTube. We're now in Zoom. So everybody that's not familiar with the format yet. So in the first part, Gordon and myself, we initiate the conversation today with Hartej. Then
we interrogate, my friend.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then we get our alumni speakers and our friends like Sergey, Marco, and all the others involved. I think James is now also onboarding in the call, so we're really happy on that.
Wow,
so,
we got a good group.
Gordon, let's get it started. And
let's get it started.
Happy to be here again.
Hartej, you know what? Let me set the. First of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've known you for a long time. You're a good man. You know what? You are a good man. And maybe you want to go in the details. You had a rough period the past week or so, and the fact that you're on here is like hardcore. I appreciate it. You can go into more details as you care to.
It sucked. There's been a virus around the world. I may have had it, and
we can't name it, right? Because the YouTube gods will censor us. But yes, you caught that thing.
Everything's
and here you are.
I'm here. I'm well. My family is well. We're grateful. And yeah, I've known you a long time, Gordon. It's really great to be here. And you know, I've been through four bear markets.
Yeah.
I think that's it. What counts is the bear markets.
Oh, you know, whether you keep friendship through bear markets. Yes, you and I kept friendship through bear markets. But I've actually lost a couple friends in 2020 through various reasons.
Psychedelics. Every time there's a bear market, more and more people leave crypto for cannabis and psychedelics.
Yeah, and well, or other marriages. We'll see. Okay, so listen, I always love. And I think James Half joined in also, and I think you guys are buddies, so he'll participate.
Celebrity, I'm so honored.
You are, dude. We are honored. Okay, but you know what? Enough flattery. Let's get real, my friend. So I always love in these to making a, you know, Marvel and all those other movies. They have origin tales. Like you have the Wolverine origin tale. Okay, I want the Hartej origin tale. All right, I don't want just your current opinions. We'll get to those, but tell us about you. You know, where are you from? What's your educational background? What's your work background? And when and how did you have your crypto epiphany? And what did that look like for you? So and just final disclaimer, I interrupt a lot, just so you know, and that's because I'm interested. Okay, if I interrupt, I'm interested. So just take it in that light. But go ahead.
Cool. I will try to be as brief / detailed as possible. So, hey everybody, my name is Hartej Sawhney. I was born and raised in central New Jersey in Princeton. I'm the first generation American son of two Indian immigrants who moved to America in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And I went to high school. Right in the middle of that sentence, I got an incoming telegram call. Sorry about that. So
Kill your Telegram. Be with us in a very Zen Buddhist way. Kill your Telegram. It's okay. All the clients will still be there when you get back. As he chats them. I love my friends.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I grew up in central New Jersey, went to high school there, Western Plainsboro High School South. For anybody who's watching and knows what that is, it's one of the in the country. Extremely diverse. I grew up in an area where, looking the way I do with a turban and beard as a Sikh American, I had absolutely no troubles growing up. Extremely diverse area, very welcoming. One of the best places to be raised. And I'm grateful to my parents for pursuing the American dream. And yeah, I'm really grateful for everything that they provided me. I went to college at Penn State. I studied finance. I thought I was going to become an iBanker. After doing 2 summers on Wall Street, I realized it was not for me. I worked at an investment banking boutique, and I worked at TD Securities, and I realized that this is just all not for me. But I've always just been a hustler. The truth is, I'm an entrepreneur, and running small hustles it was never taught to me that should be valued. I just thought it was a side thing. And so throughout college, I was custom printing clothing for frats and sororities and clubs, and I was supporting myself, paying my own rent and paying for my own alcohol and paying for my own food, because my parents were so gracious to pay for my actual tuition. I had to cover everything else. And I started my little business. I was custom printing clothing, and I started navigating all kinds of waters, of hustles. And after graduating college, instead of going to Wall Street, I actually opened up a food truck. If you're in New York City, there's a really famous food truck called 53rd and 6th. They call them the chicken rice guys. Now they're called the halal guys. It's become official.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
When we were kids, it was not official. It was just these 2 brothers that had trucks on 53rd and 6th in New York. And that concept didn't exist at Penn State. You used to eat cardboard pizza for $1. And my college roommate, Sunny Shakawala, shout out if he watches this. He was also a finance major, and him and I basically lost our job offers just weeks before graduating. So I had a job offer to become a banker on Wall Street. I didn't get my signing bonus. It got taken away from me. And I ended up opening up this dope business with my roommate. We opened up a food truck, found a loophole to be the only food truck at Penn State, and crushed it for about 8 months. And then after that, I moved home to take care of my dad, who had brain cancer. And I became his home nurse for 2 years. And it was during that time I took a turn to work remotely for a tech startup in the Silicon Valley.
Let me pause you for a second, because I saw you posted about that online, and I can relate. My dad died of cancer when I was 12, so I saw that. I was like, wow, you went home and you took care of him for 2 years.
Yeah, that's
epic.
I took care of him. It was my honor. I'm grateful, and I got to spend some quality time with my pops. And my older brother and my mom were able to go to work, and it was such a beautiful time. I was able to take care of him, start teaching myself how to code, a little bit of Python, a little bit of C, and a little bit of Java. Just started to familiarize myself. I was working for a tech startup in the Valley called Pixatel. They were in ed tech. I realized that I am capable of building my own company without getting an MBA. My Indian American parents were pretty rough and hard on the sense that they're like, you got to become an engineer, lawyer, doctor. At the bare minimum, you got to get a master's degree, or else you're not a qualified adult in society. And this is the kind of stuff I was fed. So I was fully intent on going to get my master's degree or get an MBA. And instead, I ended up starting my first startup, and I applied to a bunch of startup accelerators. And I ended up getting into one just 24 hours after my father passed away.
Oh my God.
And it was called Startup Chile. And so, I mean,
maybe he was looking down from heaven and he said, I'll grace you guys with my presence, but see my son down there, take care of him now.
Look, I thought of it as a blessing. It was also a blessing that my father no longer had to suffer. So he passed on, and I started my first startup called Zeldi, and I got $40,000 equity free from the Chilean government to move down to Chile. I went down there, I started a startup. It was a mobile point of sale system integrating to legacy point of sale systems like Micros. So we re-engineered the Micros POS from restaurants to work on any tablet, Android or iOS. And included mobile payments. And in the middle of that, after that program, we moved to Las Vegas. We, as in me and my co-founder Gal Dolber, an Israeli Argentine, born in Argentina, born in Israel, but really more Argentine, and excellent world-class engineer who built everything in a functional programming language called Clojure.
Yeah,
he got me really familiar to the power of functional programming. Bitcoin, and I went on this rabbit hole, 2012, 2013, went down this hardcore rabbit hole of Bitcoin. And I ended up talking to more of my friends about Bitcoin than I did about anything to do with mobile point of sale or traditional fintech. And pretty much everyone I knew said, you should probably focus more on Bitcoin and get into the space because it's all you talk about. And when we moved to Vegas, I had actually started with a couple of friends organizing the Las Vegas crypto meetup. It had already been running. I didn't start it, but it like shut down and died. And so we kind of gave it rebirth. We kept it alive. And that's just kind of how Vegas is a unique place. And I'm really proud of the Vegas tech community there and all the support that they gave us. When Ethereum happened, I got a call from my friend Yosub Kwan, and a group of friends, including Yo, had been making investments in ICOs, and they realized that a lot of these ICO smart contracts have blatant critical vulnerabilities in them. Right. And Yo Kwan said, listen, like, you're one of the best networked hustlers I know, and you understand crypto. We want to audit smart contracts, and we want you to run like the business, and we're gonna audit code. This is needed. And like, we went down this rabbit hole and realized at that time, only Consensus Diligence and Zeppelin was auditing smart contracts. And
can I ask you a question? I'm gonna display my ignorance. Is Zeppelin a company? I thought they published the tools for auditing. Did they actually audit it themselves? Am I mistaken?
They were actually auditing themselves, and they still are. But they showed that they were focusing on their own ICO and their own platform, and they weren't just a focused auditing shop. And Consensus, as you know, has a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Diligence was just one of their arms, and it still is one of their arms, and they're still one of our partners, and we take their overflow if they reach capacity. And so we started Hosho, which was a smart contract auditing firm. We grew really fast. We did 14 million in revenue 4 million in revenue in the first 14 months. Can't slip that up. So yeah, we did 4 million in revenue in the first 14.
Well, your next one will do 14 million in 4 months. You gotta get there.
we grew to 37 people with majority American employees, and that was a not sustainable staff and salary model and growth model when crypto winter hit, and we weren't able to sustain ourselves. And so let me
jump in for 1 second. I knew you when that was happening, and I know you were under just a ton of stress. Yeah. And you kind of.
I was on the front page of CoinDesk with my red turban, and it says, "Smart contract auditor has laid off 80% of staff."
No, I remember, and you and I were talking. I remember you shared your stress, but you kind of went not underground, but I think you did a period of introspection, and it's nice to see you here in the end of 2020, rocking and rolling. You can't keep a good man down. It speaks to your character that you bounce back and you're doing stuff.
Can't get rid of me.
Yeah, I've tried, to be honest, but so I gave up. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and after that, my wife is Ukrainian. We moved to Kiev. She was pregnant, and I was able to retain a part of my previous team at Hosho and basically completely rebuilt Hosho into Zokyo. And ended up partnering up with the right people here in Kiev and hiring aggressively over the course of the last year and a half to build out basically our own blockchain development, blockchain security, and blockchain studio. And so we are both doing the hardcore development. We're doing smart contract audits and pen testing, and we're also running a studio. And simultaneously, I'm the chief marketing and business development officer for a really exciting company based out of London called Credo. So I'm wearing 2 turbans, Gordon.
2 turbans. I got it. But I think I saw on the Zokyo website that it's the entities are related. Is that true? Zokyo.
It's just I'm just trying to remind everyone that this used to be Hosho, now it's Zokyo.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, but it sounds like Hosho with a bigger mandate. It's not just.
It's definitely
security.
A lot. We're not Ethereum. We are blockchain agnostic. We don't just focus on Ethereum. We are very aggressively world-class and training world-class blockchain. Oh, we got a little. Are we okay? Yeah. So
okay.
We have a good heartbeat of what it takes to hire blockchain engineering and security talent, and people are not talking enough about the global shortage of quality blockchain security talent, which is even greater than blockchain engineering talent. It's very hard.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. Let me stop you a second. We actually have some fantastic alumni speakers on. I'm going to change the order that we normally do this. We normally talk to the guests for like an hour and then bring in the alumni speakers, but everyone's got busy schedules, and I don't necessarily want to lose them, and some of them. So yeah. I think I want to.
I know Pedro.
Yep. Let's see. James, are you able to join in? And I'll get to Pedro and Austin, everyone else.
We got Austin Davis, the legend.
Yeah, no, we got great people.
We're both advisors to Casper Labs. Shout out Casper Labs.
Well, that's without going into details. That's kind of how we all met, or not how we all met, but that's how a couple of people and I met on the show here. James, I'm gonna give you. We got Bitcoin Khaleesi. I love it.
Wow.
We got okay. Whoever talks first. So Austin, Pedro.
Mayor Upperoop.
Yeah, Mayor.
Hola, Hosho.
Is that Pedro? Pedro, turn on your video so I can see your smiling face.
People.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Turban people? What's up with you, my brother? How you at?
Yo.
What's going on?
I love it. We got Puerto Rico to Kiev.
Where are you? You in Kiev?
I'm in Kiev for the winter. Yeah, let's see where I end up in a few months.
Are you living there like full time now, like at least half a year?
No, yeah, half a year where I've been living here. We've been really great. We built out a really sizable team here, and it's nice to just be heads down. People do more work in bad weather.
Yes.
Oh man, listen, Kiev has tremendous Kharkiv too, I'm sure you're aware.
Oh, yeah.
But, like Ukraine in general, that whole area is filled with developer talent, and they have a great work ethic. They're I don't want to talk too much about their salaries. Their salaries are a lot lower than Americans for sure. But even better than that, their work ethic is incredible. They work 6 days a week, 12 hours a day generally. It's very normal in their culture. And I've had a ton of success working with Ukrainian developers, and also too social media. I would imagine Hartej would be something you should look into. Social media content and content writers, because Ukrainians generally, their accent is a little bit tough, but writing English, they're very educated, especially younger Ukrainians. So I was actually building a social media team there when I was there. I spent, I ended up getting my passport stolen in Kiev, so I ended up staying there a little bit longer than I intended to. But I had a blast there, though, man. Kiev is one of the most beautiful cities. I was unexpected to be so beautiful in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unexpected because not a lot of Hollywood movies and commercials have been shot here. But truth is, people don't realize that most of the new commercials, especially the big European companies, most of the new ones are shot in Kiev, but people don't realize it. All the new BMW commercials, all the new Audi commercials are shot in Kiev. And I have a lot of experience working with both Ukrainian and Indian engineers. And I'll tell you, I've had amazing experiences in both, but it takes a little bit less hand-holding. And I've had a lot more reliability for blockchain engineers, specifically in Ukraine. And I've had excellent experience with penetration testing specifically in Bangalore with our partners there and people and employees that work with us. And you're right, the work ethic is really high here, and COVID has accelerated the world realizing that it doesn't matter where you are. And if, you know, a CTO here is just like a CTO there, and it doesn't matter where here or there is, they read the same books and they know the same things if they're a good full stack engineer. And then it comes down to kind of cost of local expenses, right? Like quality of life in Kiev is super high, and you don't really need that much to live a very high quality life. We were just making a joke when I got on the show that I ride around in an Uber Black for around $7 or $8, and you know, that's usually I'd be kind of a cocky guy for saying I'm riding around in Uber Black. In Kiev, it's like, no, I'll take Uber Black, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me jump in 1 second. So Hartej, you mentioned something that was actually on our invitation, which is one of our talking points, and Pedro, stay with us. But one of our talking points was building global businesses post-COVID. And you kind of alluded to that just now. Like COVID sort of accelerated this development. Can you dive into that and kind of go into what you mean?
Yeah, so what I want to say about that is that we have a clear formula. Hold on. It says my internet connection is unstable. Let me just.
No, you're fine, bro. You're fine.
So basically,
move those books. That'll solve it.
Marco, you got to mute yourself. Oh yeah, that too. Oh, there you go. I thought that was your wife.
Move the books, move yourself. That's definitely gonna help the internet connection.
I think.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say a quick hello. I gotta jump off to another thing, but I heard you called me out earlier and I couldn't chat. I'll jump on camera real quick.
Hey Austin, good to see you. Well, come back if you can.
I will, but good to see you too. And Hartej, you came up recently. I actually dropped a message. I forgot how, but of course we're talking about auditing smart contracts, and you were the first person that came to mind. So Gordon was like, reach out on the thread, and then of course you said, of course I'm still doing it. So it's good to hear the progression of Hosho to Zokyo and all of your amazing stories. So shout out.
Let me encourage everyone in the alumni chat that's there for a reason to connect with each other. Okay, this is a nonprofit community serving venture. No one's asking for a cut. Just make it happen. I want crypto to succeed. So I like connecting with people. Okay, so just do it.
We have to be more aggressive about staying in touch with each other now post-COVID. I used to kind of vanish in between conferences, just knowing that it's only going to be 2-3 weeks before I'm back at a conference and I see everybody again. This is the longest I've gone without seeing all of you. And so now I'm waking up and thinking, all right, maybe I need to put an hour on my calendar to like actually consciously thinking about connecting with someone who I normally don't and have a virtual Zoom call. Super.
Well, let me jump in. So we're lucky enough to have we have many good people on this, but we have Sergey and we have Pedro. Okay, Sergey is running like nonstop shows in Russia and with Russian speakers, so Ukraine, Belarus, everywhere else. Great network to tap into, and I think everyone should be guessing on his show also. Pedro is leading Crypto Mondays in Puerto Rico and is doing a bang-up job. And so there's a lot of cross-germination that can happen. They've been nice enough to have me on their shows, and they're coming on my show. So this is, we can have this sort of ongoing virtual conference and networking thing by linking these all together. So I want to give appreciation to those two individuals. And Austin, I'm happy to, Austin was a guest, and actually formed a panel a couple ago, and did a bang up job. So just blessings.
That was a lot of fun. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, totally.
Building a crypto company, I think that it's important to think about ex-CIS countries. So Russian-speaking countries have the highest adoption of crypto in the world, and it is due to the language barrier, it's going overlooked. And only Binance and a handful of Asian exchanges have started to take advantage of it and hire people here. For communities like layer 1 protocols and layer 2s that are starting to growing their communities, my advice to them is to really hone in on the Eastern European ex-CIS market. And if you want help navigating those waters, contact me.
Well, I got a question, because I always wonder whether they refer to them as Russian-speaking CIS or ex-CIS. You seem to...
X.
Okay, fair enough.
Gordon, let's get James into the conversation because I think James has still a couple of minutes left before he needs to drop off.
Yeah, and then Marco also. But James,
ladies and gentlemen, James Haft.
James Haft, join in, my friend, if you can.
He would like to.
Camera on, James. Camera on. I'll be listening in when I can, guys, but I do have to jump too as well.
Okay, awesome. Great seeing you.
Hartej, good to see you. Gordon, great to see you. Everybody else
Thanks.
as well. We'll talk soon.
Yep. All right. Well, when the moment James finishes up, we'll get him in here. But just oh, there he is, James.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, sorry. So I have 5 minutes. I apologize. Hartej, I just wanted to say hello. I'll give you a hug.
Hey, man, virtual hugs.
Virtual hugs. You're the easiest man to find at a conference.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a beacon, man.
It's a beacon, and there's other characteristics. So glad
I'm usually not difficult to spot either, man. I'm 6'4".
That's true. That's true. That's true. We got a great group on here, Gordon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Hartej, I'm really proud of you the way that you've moved over, and you got through the host show breakup. And I think it's really exciting where you've positioned yourself because I think it's right in the sweet spot of what's going to happen over the next 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Older men. It's great to have mentors and brothers. I'm just grateful to have mentors and brothers like you. Thanks so much for everything, James.
Thank you so much. So I gotta run, but let's catch up soon. And I miss you, and I'm looking forward to working with you, buddy. All right.
Let's talk the end of this week, hopefully.
Perfect. And thank you, Gordon. Bye bye.
My pleasure. Okay, Hartej, I am going to nail this point though. So working and building businesses post COVID. Talk.
So India and Ukraine have the best engineers in the world, in my opinion, as do several ex-CIS countries. But my personal familiarity is with Ukraine and India. So I can only speak about where I am familiar. And Ukraine and India are two very special places. And so if someone were to give me an unlimited budget and were to say, okay, you have $1 billion budget, build the company of the future and build $1 billion business. I want to be your early stage investor. My formula is hire your engineers and build out your team. First of all, you need a great CTO that speaks both English and Russian and and that you trust. And that would be amazing. And build out your team in Eastern Europe. And same thing would go if you're focused on doing it in India. Well, you need to start with having a trusted Indian CTO who wants to live in India and be around the engineers physically. It's very important. And then
we explain why that is. I mean, besides the obvious things like time difference in language, but maybe if that's it, let me know.
There's a long list of things, but I'll start with one of the curveballs. The curveball in India is building a culture is a little bit more difficult than building a culture in Ukraine. And that is due to religious and cultural differences amongst people in India. There's more diversity in religion and income class and background. Building a culture can be trickier. Earning trust and knowing their backgrounds and vetting people can be a little trickier compared to Ukraine, where there's a lack of diversity. There used to be there was an iron curtain here not that long ago. People didn't people didn't even travel within districts, and they still don't travel that much within districts. So there's due to the lack of diversity, building a company culture here is actually easier. And on that note, take the top 25 startups in Israel. Every single one has an engineering team in Ukraine. And the majority of them, I don't know the facts on the other side, but majority of them have a biz dev operation out of New York City or London or one of these English speaking, more expensive places. And so, yeah, this is the model where things are heading. Even at Credo, the majority of our engineering team is in Belarus, and the biz dev and marketing team is mostly based out of London. And and now post COVID, everybody's hiding somewhere in some cabin in the mountains. But
well, actually, I was going to nail that point. So, is what you just said, was it true before COVID? Has it become more true post COVID? Like, how has COVID specifically impacted this model?
We're at a point where you need software to get written and get written properly. Who cares if this person's in Ukraine, Colombia, New Zealand, Australia? It doesn't matter. What matters is trust and time zone. And as long as your time zones coordinate enough for your relationship to work, and you can build trust and you can align on cost, let it go. And I feel like post-COVID, an increasing number of people who may have been a little bit closed-minded to outstaffed or outsourced development, or maybe with someone in Ukraine because they're not familiar with Ukraine. Maybe they think that it's still a part of Russia and they have never visited and they're ignorant. People have all kinds of hesitations towards working with people outsourced. And truth is, Silicon Valley's tier 1 VCs continue to encourage people to build in-house engineering teams. And they give their portfolio. Why? For a lot of tier 1 VCs, that investment thesis has treated them well, and they have a right to continue to invest with what thesis has worked for them. And so I can't disrespect big tier 1 VCs, but a growing.
Wait a second. It has worked, and do you think will continue to work for them, or has worked, but there's a pivot that will even affect them?
Look at Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel said that the PayPal culture got drastically affected when they just had a second floor of the office. That's how passionate thing and build in one office. Now, I'd be curious today to know what Peter Thiel's opinion is post-COVID. But I know for a fact this was Peter Thiel's founders fund investment thesis. I've pitched them myself in my previous startup, and we had an issue with the fact that my co-founder was splitting his time between Las Vegas and Argentina.
I mean, to me, one floor sounds like an infection chamber.
Yeah,
like I don't want to be one floor with people. Like get the hell away from me.
Yeah, but they achieved success, and I'll tell you, I'm not ready for my team to be 100% fully remote. And even as someone who's in favor of remote working, it's nice for certain members of the team, especially core engineering team members. It's really great for them to be able to get together in one room, 1 day a week. You know, it's.
I agree. So let me ask you.
Whiteboarding.
You know, again, I'm gonna flip back and forth. I feel like Marco should and wants to jump in here. Marco's a very smart guy. I'm working with him on a couple projects. Just good person, very intelligent, and is always on these shows. And now was asking, putting questions, and in fact was put together a fantastic panel on digital identity for us. So Marco, if you can spare us a couple of minutes and share some thoughts and share some questions, that'd be great.
Go for it. Marco.
Wow. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm in a similar internet scenario to Hartej there. still quasi third world.
So questions, thoughts.
One of the things I want to just quickly check. Yeah, I just want to check in with you, Hartej. Kiev. I spent about 6 weeks there about 5 years ago, working with a local dev shop currently known as Star. You may know them. They're a huge outsourcing shop based in Kiev.
Okay.
And one of the things when I was effectively living there for that period that I found was walking around Kiev is a lot like walking around Cairo and then turning a corner and finding yourself in Paris.
Well, what does that mean?
Have you been to Cairo?
Marco, I hear you laughing, but I don't hear the questions or the comments. I think he's got an internet issue.
You didn't hear the question.
Well, I heard some observation that's like Cairo, and then I heard a bunch of laughter, but I didn't hear a question. Or.
Oh boy. Okay. You know what? Maybe what I should do is I should just. My internet's wonky. I'm going to reconnect with my dial-in. So go on to something else, and I'll be back.
Fine. Meher, can we bring you into this? Meher, I'm sorry. I don't know if I've ever actually had a moment to be corrected on that. Meher. I'll tell you what, alumni speakers, when you get a moment to unmute yourself, I'm kind of playing jazz with this one. So Hartej, we'll go to your next scheduled topic until one of them gets their internet straight. So security in the crypto space, how did you kind of gave the background with Hosho and everything else and how these gentlemen spoke to you. What did you see then and what are you seeing now in terms of security in the crypto space? Was, smart contract auditing, pen testing, and the like?
The biggest thing we're seeing is that you have a lot of engineers that have been engineers in the past but never hacked in Solidity that now taught themselves Solidity over the last few months to build a DeFi project. And the security on those projects that we're looking at needs significant work. And when people are coming to us for a smart contract audit written by one of these types of engineers that just taught themselves Solidity, we can't just be the auditor, because that would mean that we are writing custom automated tools for a smart contract that's going to remain as is. So we end up doing a manual audit, going back to them and saying, okay, we think you should change a lot of things and rewrite the functions, and you'll save a lot of gas fees doing it this way, and there could be a vulnerability that way, and like.
So I'm doing my interrupting because I'm interested thing. So you just made a comment that's beyond security. You made an efficiency or best practice comment there with the gas fees.
Yeah, it's more than security. We're doing a lot more than just security. We're making things better for the community, for everybody. This is a community thing, an investor thing, a government thing. We're making sure this is prepared to be listed on digital asset exchanges, both DEX and do we call it SEX? DEX and KEX?
It's a Russian C, yeah, kind of.
Anyways, and we are holding the hands of these teams in a way that I'm not sure many have the capacity to do in this space at the moment. And I don't know how other auditing teams are operating because there's such high capacity. But people are at their bandwidth. A lot of the top auditing firms have a 2-3 month wait time now to get in there, and a lot of teams are giving us code to audit without writing their own test suites. You can't ship open source code without being able to run that code and open up the test environment. We as an auditor cannot be writing your test suites for you, and we are seeing teams come to us with a deadline of 1-2 weeks. And we have to help them fundamentally first take a step back and say, you got to write your test suites.
Now, do they know that and they're not doing it, or is it just that they don't know?
It's a mix of things. Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they know, but they were in a rush and they were hoping that we would do it. And on the other hand, we are also seeing teams come to us as the third auditor. This is the first time since we started Hosho that we have the largest number of coming to us as the third and fourth auditor that are very sophisticated teams that are super, super nervous about deploying the smart contract. And they're coming to us as the third or fourth auditor before launching the TGE. And at the same time, I have also the largest number of, I would say, more immature approach where they want to get an audit after TGE, after the token at a bunch of exchanges. This is true for most yield farms in DeFi. Most of them are going live with unaudited code for the first 2 weeks or the first 100,000 blocks. And that's where you make most of the money in these yield farms, the first 100,000 blocks or so, it's the first 2 weeks. And that's unaudited code. So we're being hired by investment shops to audit code of yield farms that are unaudited just for the investment shop.
So so let me repeat back to you. It's not even the developer of the code that's asking you to audit. It's a third party that's has a stake or interest in what this thing is. That's interesting, but that can also make for a lot of redundancy because 50 different investment houses can hire 50 different auditors. That's a huge duplication of effort potentially.
The more the merrier, because every time we're finding stuff, and the
more the merrier if it gets back to the original source and they fix it.
They have to fix it, yes, but the key is we need more quality engineers to sit down and think about the logic flaws and to think like a black hat and to think about how you can exploit this contract, because it may not be a typical security flaw that this is going to pick up. It's not going to be picked up by automated tooling. You need someone who deeply understands cybersecurity with a quality assurance mindset and really understands the language that this is written in. which right now it continues to be Solidity. And, you know, we're trying to groom Solidity experts and Solidity pros who have to keep up with this rapidly moving and rapidly evolving industry.
So let me ask another question. Is Solidity up to the task in its current form? Or is there perhaps a flaw in the language or a shortcoming in the language itself?
I'm less concerned about the language than I am quality of engineers at the moment. In the past, we've observed some flaws in Solidity, but it just keeps getting better and better and better because it's such a powerful developer community. It is the biggest developer community of any blockchain today.
Hmm.
And
okay, and then how does someone?
Go ahead.
Is this something that someone can even learn solo, or must they work with others and get hands-on experience in a group? Like, how do you actually transition over being security-minded, quality-minded with this?
Start building. But the thing is, the best people that are good at security in this space have a security background where they were actually doing stuff with quality assurance in the past. They were actually going for bug bounties on bug bounty. They have earned big bugs on bug bounties, and they're actually hackers. And they went to DEF CON, not only Ethereum DEF CON, but they've been to DEF CON, and they've been to,
I got it.
You know, and like we need
they own the feds.
Yeah, we need more people from DEF CON to be incentivized to be in this, protect this industry. We need more people to be poached from the DEF CON community to come into crypto. Every major exchange should have a couple of DEF CON hackers just in-house on the payroll. They have the money. Same with layer ones, same with layer twos, same with OTC desks. They all have the money. Hire hackers, hire CISOs. Don't wait for government regulations to tell you that you have to get a penetration test and that you have to check for data leaks in your cloud services. Everybody in our space is using Amazon Web Services, Azure, or Google Cloud. There can be leaks in your data in your cloud services. It's super normal practice in fintech and healthcare to look for leaks in your cloud services. But due to a lack of know-how or private, I would say private regulation, like, you know, we don't have like a PCI compliance, which is not a government mandated thing.
Sorry, and there's also so much, like you said, the fact that you make most of your money in the first 100,000 blocks, plus I'll add in there's a lot of similar projects coming out. There's economic incentives to move fast and fix it later. And that's kind of the nature of the market right now. I don't know that it's, you know, like everything else in life, it's both a good thing and a bad thing.
That's so many rug pulls happening. We had some big ones today. Every day there's rug pulls because of this. And that's not a good look. And we don't want to see more class action lawsuits pop up, especially in the United States.
No.
It's going to cause a big ruckus. If we have a bunch of class action lawsuits because of DeFi, and you got people standing outside. You remember the guys outside of Consensus in New York holding posters? I forget what it was, like, give me back my Tezos or something like that. I forgot what it was. Something like that.
But you know, it's funny. I do remember that, actually. I do, and I talked to him, and I think you're right. And you know, it's funny. Here we are, like a couple years later, and that made an impression.
Yeah, that could be a class action lawsuit, and that's when the feds get pissed off, when thousands or hundreds or dozens even of American citizens start filing class action lawsuits. And I mean, I hate to bring up America over and over, because in crypto, to me, this is a human thing. This is a global thing. This is beyond passports. But we got to navigate the current system, and America has a lot of power as the world's reserve currency, and the SEC flexes its power across borders at the moment.
And for better for worse, I'm in Studio City, California, so I'm not like a hard target to reach right now. Are there best practices or templates or models that can currently be implemented in Solidity? Is there a growing, like, you know, consensus about this is how it should be done, or is it all?
We're at a point today where Trail of Bits and QuantStamp and Certic and ourselves, we've all released so much material on how to properly write smart contracts and to prepare for your smart contract audit. We need people to just follow those templates, follow the rules, have enough lead time, tell your investors in advance that you're going to need a budget for auditing and for pen testing and for looking for data leaks in your cloud services and for hiring an in-house security person to think about your in-house security practices.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to frighten people and remind them that if you are in the crypto space, you are a target of hackers.
Yep.
And
big time.
Even if you're an employee at a big company and you feel like you're a nobody because you're employee number 150 at Coinbase, guess what? You're a target.
Yep. It's true. Then one thing you mentioned in sort of our pre-talk, or you seem to have a special affinity or interest in atomic swaps.
I do. At Credo, we launched cross-chain atomic swaps, institutional grade cross-chain atomic swaps. So you can swap between.
Let me jump in. I'm going to do my standard line, which is talk to me like I'm 5. Okay. So explain to a 5-year-old atomic swaps and why they're cool.
Yeah. So fundamentally, interoperability between Bitcoin and Ethereum hasn't really been there. Bitcoin is decentralized, Ethereum is decentralized, but when it comes to both of them interacting with each other, most interoperability solutions are centralized. And most developers are working on when they're working on Ethereum dApps or the Bitcoin protocol, very little has been achieved at these networks. And so, today, if I want to swap my Bitcoin for Ethereum, I'm going to move my Bitcoin onto a centralized exchange and sell them for Ethereum. I'm giving custody of my coins to a centralized exchange and trusting this exchange. This process is cumbersome and against the Satoshi vision of not your keys, not your crypto, right? And interoperability can be achieved today through wrapped solutions. So we've seen wrapped Bitcoin really pick up dominance in the space so fast.
Okay, so like I'm 5, explain wrapped Bitcoin.
I'm about to tell you.
Love you, baby.
Wrapped Bitcoin is basically an ERC20 token representing the price of Bitcoin. So you're able to spend your Bitcoin on Ethereum and get exposure into things like DeFi. The problem is that it's still centralized. Wrapped Bitcoin is backed by BitGo and decentralized solutions, centralized custodians. I'm not saying they're going to disappear overnight, but now we have an alternate, and Credo has released something really pretty revolutionary, right? Because you need governance controls when you're able to do institutional grade atomic swaps. So if I'm Goldman Sachs and I want to swap between Bitcoin to Ethereum, I'm not gonna use MetaMask. I'm not gonna just use some decentralized exchange, and I'm not gonna use a centralized exchange that's domiciled in the Cayman Islands or Malta or some other random jurisdiction. It's not gonna work for Goldman Sachs. And it's not gonna work for even a family office that wants to do large OTC transactions. So this Credo's approach to atomic swaps uses what's called multi-party computation. So I'm gonna break that down like you're 5. So if you really want me to, basically,
yes,
multi-party computation like you're 5. Okay. Bob.
Wait, Einstein said if you can explain something as simply as necessary, but no simpler, you know it. So now you're on.
Pamela and Bill are going to go on a date, and they want to decide after that first date if they're going to go on a second date. And after the first date, they're both anonymously going to submit an answer to say, would you like to go on another date or not? And if they both say yes, then they want to know if the answer was yes from both parties. And if one of them says no and one of them says yes, then you can't have exposure. That would be rude. This is a fundamental kind of basic concept of anonymous multi-party computation, where we're trying to hide your private keys. We're trying to make it so there are no private keys. There is a anonymous public private key set. So in crypto, MPC is used so that you can be using a system where an anonymous public-private key represents your crypto. You're never exposing your private key. There is no private key. I'll give you one more like dumbed down MPC example. You're at a table with a couple of friends having dinner and you want to figure out how much everybody earns in their salary. And basically, everybody submits anonymously how much they earn. But there's rules to this in the sense that you can't collude with Gordon sitting next to you and tell each other how much you earn and how much he earns, or else you might be able to do the math on how much everybody else actually earns. MPC can sit in the middle to do use cryptography, which seems like magic, to calculate how much this group earns without exposing the truth of who earns how much from each individual. There's some really great Technion University in Israel has some really nice videos on multi-party computation, and there's a lot of companies in the crypto space like Curve and Fireblocks that are taking a stab at leveraging multi-party computation in an array of ways. But Credo has taken their own approach and really trying to focus on what does it look like for us getting family offices to adopt digital assets. The target market for Credo's atomic swaps, it's not the average degenerate Chad who wants to log in a Uniswap with MetaMask and do trades.
Did you just go like outright red pill jargon? And if so, I love you. Degenerate Chad, I love it. How did the idea first show up for Credo?
Brian Spector is the co-founder with Anthony Foy, and he has a cryptography background, and we have 4 PhDs in cryptography on the team.
Wow.
So for these people, when you say crypto, they're not thinking about cryptocurrency. They first think about cryptography. And yeah, most of the team worked together on a previous company called Miracle, which exited. And so all those cryptography guys under Brian Spector came over. And so, yeah, Credo's network is backed by custom HSM chips and it's built on a fork of Tendermint. And so they have a governance token coming out, and the network is actually backed by physical data centers scattered throughout the world. So it's not Amazon Web Services. It can't just be turned off by Jeff Bezos. This is
sorry, that's brilliant. If I understand you correctly, that's brilliant. So the family offices, it's almost like a private OTC network.
Yes, that is correct. And
it's almost like a private. It's almost like a little NASDAQ.
Yep, it's a dark pool. It's a liquidity pool. It's a right. We solved the liquidity problem in the space. The more people that join the network, the more peer-to-peer transactions that you can conduct. You can do things like pooling money together instead of trusting just one person. You're leveraging the full power of smart contracts with governance controls, with the ability to bring your governance rules into the system and have self-custody of your wallet. Yeah,
that's pretty deep.
It's pretty.
So how far along is this?
It's live. Atomic swaps are live. So go to credo.com, QREDO. We have a lot of tweets that have come out, a lot of LinkedIn content that we've been putting out about our atomic swaps, about how they work. So check out Credo Network's Twitter page. Check out our LinkedIn. Try it out.
And I'll put it in the show notes, of course.
Yeah, download give us some feedback. Join the network. When you join the network, it takes your name and your phone number, and you have to download an app. And some people in the space have expressed hesitance, saying, "Oh, we don't want to give you that information." All the information is in your control. It's encrypted, and the network actually is the vault. So you're safe and you're in full control.
Interesting. All right, let me shift over to something else that seems to be one of your interests. So,
DeFi.
Oh yeah, we're going down the list, right? But
not that one.
Sorry, Marco. Yes, we're going to do DeFi. So just wax poetic about DeFi, where you see it, its challenges, where you see it's going, and where you and your projects may be taking it.
The total value locked into DeFi has gone up 28% since October. We're at $14.5 billion locked into DeFi today. The amount of users has gone up by 65% since October. This is according to Dune Analytics. We now have 1 million users using DeFi, and this is really just the beginning of rewriting financial infrastructure for Web 3.0. This is just the beginning, and I like to place focus on companies like Credo that are building the core infrastructure that is going to be necessary for the proliferation of decentralized apps. It's all about the infrastructure. And when you look at companies like Credo, Aave, Synthetics, 0x, Kyber Network, Compound, YFI, Yearn, SushiSwap, I mean, these companies are innovating at such a rapid pace. Project Serum, Solana, you know, you could even just write a bot that just tracks the number of lines of code being shipped week over week from these open source repositories. And I'm very bullish on decentralized governance. And I think it's a really powerful tale to see that Andreessen Horowitz has launched a $500 million fund that is going to focus on decentralized governance and layer 2. So such a $500 million fund is kind of setting the tone of the space.
And what's your?
So
Here, let me ask you this: 2 years from now, where do you see this?
Today, $30 million per week is being requested by institutional investors in crypto. 30 million per week. This number is about to, if I were to guess, I think it's going to between 3 to 5x. I think DeFi as a market is about to 10x.
Wow.
It's super early. You have to already have been in crypto to get in. The learning curve is still super high. You know, you have to watch videos from people like DeFi Dad to kind of start wrapping your brain around how to get into DeFi. Even as someone who's been a Bitcoin and Ethereum investor, I had to take time to wrap my brain around DeFi when I aggressively started looking into this about, you know, we've been talking about DeFi for a long time. You know, Bitcoin, the original DeFi, but in terms of this movement that has started and been spearheaded by companies like Compound and Synthetics and Solana and you know, Kyber Network and 0x and Credo, right? Like, this has been something where we've really started going. January of this year, in the beginning of this year, is where we started to go heads down. DeFi, DeFi, DeFi. This is going to be huge. And most people, the real market only got into it during DeFi summer. They call it DeFi summer. It was early to be hardcore into it in January, and even that is not early. People have been, you know, the one thing about DeFi.
Sorry, let me ask you: is DeFi? Do you think it's a natural evolution or outcome of fintech, or is it its own unique thing?
It is a part of fintech in my book because it's rewriting fintech. Web 3.
Okay.
And another thing about DeFi is investing in DeFi is interesting in that investors really have to think for the long term. You can't just invest in the early stage round and kind of kiss the company goodbye. Good investors in this space are investing in funding the liquidity on the DEXs. Good investors in this space of DeFi are actually helping with staking and governance, and they're actually staking on these protocols, and they're actually funding the liquidity on the DEXs. I say that twice because funding liquidity is one of the keys. A lack of liquidity is a massive problem. And, you know, the top five blue chip DeFi projects, their early stage investors were funding liquidity on DEXs for 3 years. You know, people like 3 Arrows Capital, Spartan Capital, Framework Labs, these guys were funding liquidity on DEXs as long-term investors for the last 3 years before people were talking about DeFi.
Hartej, you were such a knowledgeable and tapped in guy. How does someone get to be like you? And I'm not asking that sarcastically, like really.
I don't know. Read a lot. Wake up early. Right.
Well, dude, I got up at 4 o'clock for this show, so I got the early part covered. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, let me try something. We got some good people jumping in here. So, Anthem, I see you're there. If you want to take yourself off mute and say hi, if you want. Jared, you're welcome to.
Anthem Gold, Anthem Bitcoin.
Yeah. Steven, you're welcome to. And Marco, if your audio is better and you have a question, feel free.
Well, I loved your comment there. How do you get to be like Hartej?
Yeah.
Right. This is, I think, what's going to happen. I think we're going to see a lot more of this now that we've had this quarantine crap and people have been sitting at home with nothing to do. And some of them have sat there and played video games and watched television, and they finished Netflix and they moved on to Amazon Prime, and they're probably finished Prime too. So now they're moving on to Hulu.
Right. By the way,
then there's the people who decided.
Just real quick, The Boys on Amazon is awesome. That's all I'm gonna say. Please go on.
Yeah. Well, that's my point. What are you doing, Gordon?
Right.
One of the things I get a kick out of, and maybe you've noticed this too, Hartej, is that the distraction is something that is very popular. When really what you really want to be focusing on is traction, not distraction. Traction means instead of watching TV, you go grab the last 2 years of Scientific American and read it all. And just broaden your horizons. Or you go and you decide, well, I don't know how to program in Python. Let's go learn that. My most recent case was I didn't really understand how to use Linux interactively in a command line. I mean, I knew how it worked. I just had never bothered to do it. And I decided, well, damn it, I've got nothing better to do. And now I've got myself running 3 validators, and I'm learning a heck of a lot about debugging and such.
The key of what you
that's how I've done it.
I heard you say the word learning again and again, and the key is that humans need to learn how they learn. For me personally, what changed my life was YouTube, and I know there's library and there's lots of new platforms where we can digest media, but for me, YouTube was the beginning, and it was being able to watch YouTube videos at 2x speed. I'm ready for even faster with the subtitles on, and
yes.
Going down the rabbit hole of what I'm personally interested in. And now when I found Bitcoin, there was a lot of Andreas Antonopoulos videos that were an hour and a half long that I had to get through. And he was helping me digest some really technical stuff and making it easy for someone who's not super technical like me. I'm not a full stack engineer. And it was great to just digest those videos. And now fast forward 8 years, there's so many more videos. There's a guy named Anthony Pompliano, and there's all these characters that are putting out newsletters and content. And I don't mean to call Pomp a character, even though he is one.
No, he's a character.
Super nice, super great guy. But these guys didn't exist when I got into Bitcoin. And girls, you can follow Meltem, you can follow Elena Satoshi, the founder of Tracer. You have some amazing ladies and gentlemen that have been building this space ground up for a really long time. And now, Elena helped write the Little Bitcoin book. You have Bitcoin books that are available. One of my favorite Bitcoin books out there is William Moguyer's Business of the Blockchain. It's the one book that I think paints the best picture of the future of Web3 to a non-technical person, Business of the Blockchain. And then the next book is Now in DeFi by Camilla Russo. I'm forgetting the title, but I think that's the best book to really grasp.
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Camilla, she's the author. She used to write for crypto at Bloomberg, and now she's running her podcast and wrote this amazing book about DeFi. Yeah, those are my 2 go-to recommended books for if anybody I'm hiring, I want them to read Camilla Russo DeFi book. I want them to read William Moguyer's Business of the Blockchain. And that's, of course, after they've already read the Bitcoin white paper and watched some basic videos.
Yeah. read the white paper 10 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and what Hartej, what you're saying is perfect. Is learn how you learn, and then never stop learning. And for me, I've also found that getting pigeonholed, spending too much time learning one thing linearly, gets in the way of me absorbing. So I find myself going from, I'll spend a couple of hours learning about how to write scripts in Bash, and then I'll go off and I'll learn about quantum mechanics, or I'll go off and learn how to bake a cake, or something else that's completely not coding.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we need to learn how we learn. I'm very visual. Videos work great for me.
Sorry, just real quick. So Ben Lee, I just want to make sure I don't lose it. He put in the chat. He said, "Hey Hartej, what's the podcast again?"
I think it's called The Defiant. Let me look. I'm trying to find it for you. Just look, if you can just Google Camilla Russo, CamilARusso. It's the Defiant podcast. DEFIANT. She's the author of this book called The Infinite Machine.
The Infinite Machine, great, fantastic.
Excellent book. I'm not invested in this book. I'm just a fan, and Camilla Russo is a friend that I've met at several conferences when she was a journalist. And I think she has done an incredible job of helping you understand the rise of Ethereum and the future of DeFi, how transformation is playing out. She's done a really great job. I think it's easy. A lot of people got jaded after the 2017 ICO craze, and now it's important to kind of really grasp what's happening with DeFi. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't want to touch a shitcoin again. Now I'm just going to focus on Bitcoin," and that's fine.
I mean, I got to make back all the money I lost. Just kidding. No. Like, you can tell. I'm definitely not OG, but like Hartej, like you said, if you stick out and keep your relationships through a couple bear markets, then you know that someone will stick around.
Yeah, and speaking of Bitcoin and DeFi, if you're interested in learning more about where DeFi fits into Bitcoin, look into RSK. And Diego and Gabriel, the RSK team has been building for a very, very long time, and they're bringing Bitcoin to DeFi, and it's very interesting. They built RIF, which is an on-chain RIF on-chain they launched. It's a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin that's pegged to the US dollar through smart contracts, and it's uncensorable by centralized parties. It's a secure medium of payment for users. It's kind of their version of Maker, which I haven't even thought about Maker even once, and I really like Maker. Very interesting. But yeah, this is the Bitcoin version of Maker, launched by RSK. Very interesting.
Doesn't your blood rush and get excited when you talk about all this? I'm feeling it, like viscerally. That's why I wake up and I don't care what day it is. I kind of have the same routine. I enjoy working. I enjoy getting to my standing desk. I enjoy researching in the crypto space. I enjoy investing in the space. I enjoy building in this space. And I love the people in the space. That's probably been the best part, is I've actually built friendships with people in this space where I talk to them more than my family and my best friends that I grew up with. I have people who I now call my best friends that I met just through the crypto space, and I'm forever grateful. These people they continue to support me the way family members do. So how do we post-COVID, or in this ongoing COVID world, or just looking forward, how do we accelerate the integration and progress of this community? I'm struggling with that, and I'd like to hear your insights.
Crypto has grown ever since COVID started. Crypto companies have grown ever since COVID started, possibly even more than other companies in tech. COVID has accelerated how powerful it is to operate the way people in crypto have been for a very long time. We already have friends that all moved to places like Puerto Rico and to Antigua and to Bahamas You know, we have people that have just been shifting and
Caymans.
their entire life.
Mhm.
Caymans,
Caymans, yes.
right? Like we have been, our industry has been very futuristic for a long time. I don't think COVID shook any of us up that drastically.
No.
I get it. I miss real conferences. That's definitely the biggest change. And they're going to come back. But you know, this is crypto is the opportunity for the person who doesn't have a bank account and has never flown to America and lives in a country that maybe most of us haven't visited. And it's up to us in crypto to be very open to that person.
Okay, that's solid. Let me. It's interesting because we can all talk about the effect that it's had, but in terms of getting proactive about it, there's a key takeaway there, which is don't sort of geographically discriminate on who you're interacting with, because you never know. And they're the things that were previously kind of count against them, whether it's language or geography, even if that didn't matter as much as it used to before, it really doesn't matter now.
Correct.
But I think you're saying you have a certain open Zen-like approach and
So,
not presuppose.
Yeah, and American culture, I'll be honest, American business culture is extremely discriminatory.
Mhm.
We have over 170 plus regulatory arms just regulating the financial sector in the United States. So for fair reason, people are pretty scared. They're like, oh, where are you? Where's the IP? Are your engineers going to run? Blah, blah, right? In crypto, we have to be open-minded. Someone could be in Nairobi and the other CTO could be in Kiev, Ukraine, and the lead engineers are currently spending times in the Alps of France because they love skiing and it's winter and they rented out a cabin to just focus and build and ship code for 6 months. Like it really doesn't matter. You got to make it work how you're going to make it work, and you got to make your investors money and make your investors comfortable that you don't need to be in an office cooped up that an investor can walk into every single day. And if you do, maybe you have the wrong investor. And we have to evolve in these new models. So, you know, I don't think any crypto investors are giving people any shit. I think that this is the COVID is going to accelerate crypto's adoption. COVID is going to accelerating crypto's growth. And I don't think this way of thinking is going to just vanish, even post a vaccine. I think that this is just the new way of approaching things. The remote, everybody is now used to doing things online. And people who never ever did a traditional bank transaction online post-COVID are now doing the bank transactions online. This includes boomers and old people. People in my parents' generation are now doing everything online.
Yep.
Malls are going to turn into something else.
My mom lives on Amazon. It's the cutest thing.
Yeah, my mom too, by the way. All of a sudden, she's on Amazon.
Yeah, she's like, my mom's like, I don't want to go to Gelson's with all those other old people in the morning. I just want stuff delivered. I'm like, God bless you, Mom. That's awesome. All right, but let me re-ask the question. Let me just, because I want to see if there's anything more there, and if there's not, it's okay, because I don't know where the end of this is. So I understand the businesses are dispersed and investors. That's all point. In terms of getting away from business, but just community building or strengthening the movement, is there anything else we can proactively pound on right now, do you think? And maybe you don't have the answer. I mean, I'm asking because I don't have the answer. I'm fishing for ideas. Is there, if we get out of our own heads and just look at the community, what can we do to add value fast and just take advantage of the time?
Education is probably the only thing that comes to my mind. We need more.
Okay, that's a good one.
The more that we can further educate people in the space and educate people that are not in the space, the world would be a better place. It's all about education, and it's really wonderful to see how more and more people are creating quality video and written content and newsletters, and more people are joining crypto Twitter and the conversations there.
Wouldn't it be great if we had something that would teach people who are not by any means used to this concept, much like people weren't used to spending their lives on Amazon. How to educate yourself, generally, not saying, if you're visual, do this, if you're auditory, then do this and whatever, but more, here's how in today's isolated world, you go about learning new things about anything, right? With the requisite gotchas already built into that little, what is it, a 1 hour video maybe, that tell you things like, if somebody offers to send you 10,000 Bitcoin today, if you send them 5,000 Bitcoin yesterday, that's probably a bad idea. Those kinds of things, right? The too good to be true things. Because a lot of our problem with education is not just the fact that people aren't used to doing it, but there's so much misinformation out there posing as education.
Actually, that's a fantastic point, because if we're reaching new audiences, and I guess that's the dark side to the education mandate, which is how do we need to combat misinformation, and how do we combat misinformation for the greater good?
It's a tough question.
Yeah, I know. This is not a softball show, but
While you were talking about that, my mind was more thinking about things like Senegal. The language is in Wolof, and there's not even a lot of how to learn how to code material in Wolof, right? And so there's a disadvantage to the fact that you were born and your native language there's no materials to learn how to code in your mother tongue.
Okay, so I'm going to sound like an imperialist white American. Shouldn't everyone just be speaking English? Shouldn't everyone be able to speak English at this point, or at least understand it, if you want to play in this world?
I don't think that's fair to ask of the world.
I'm not making a fairness argument. In terms, if I'm the guy in Senegal and I want to gain access to
the way
resources quickly,
around the world was through rape and pillage. So to ask the world to all speak English means you already were raped and pillaged and colonized by some European colonizer, likely. And if you look at that, the Belgians and the French and the English weren't always the best person to be colonized by, but hey, when they left, or if they're still there, you speak English.
Okay, fair enough. So what do you do if you're that guy in Senegal?
We need to prepare. We need to leverage technology to make it so that someone in Senegal can learn in their own mother tongue. And if they can get material we should also give them material to learn English, if they're so willing. That would be wonderful. And yes, English is the global business language today. However, wouldn't it be great if they could learn in their own mother tongue? There's a lot of people that would like to keep their own mother tongues alive. And when a mother tongue dies, well, there's a saying in my mother tongue that says, when a kid forgets his mother tongue, he will one day forget his mother.
No, I agree with that. It's like there's that Achilles thing. So a man is alive so long as the last person who remembers him alive is alive. Once the last living memory of that person is gone, they're really gone.
Yeah, and in Ukraine, mother tongue is also such a big deal. They were a part of the Soviet Union in the past, so people here still speak Russian. They speak Russian in a very Ukrainian specific style, if you know.
Oh yeah, guys know.
But people really, they're proud of their Ukrainian language. It's Kiev spelled with a Y, not an I. This is Ukraine. They speak Ukrainian. It is a completely separate language.
Wait, I jump in. It's so funny. Like I grew up spelling it with an I, and I put it on social media 1 week ago. I made this big announcement and said, okay, friends, I'm switching to the KYIV. Since I have so many Ukrainian friends, I'm making the switch. And just to be clear, I wasn't saying surrender your base tongue. Okay, it's a trope that Americans don't speak other languages. Like I speak German. I'm going out of my way for over a decade now working on my Russian. I suck, but I'm staying at it. I just think it adds a lot of utility to your life if you happen to speak English. It adds a lot of utility to your life if you happen to speak a second language in general.
And that's why software engineers globally have joined the global market before others, right? Like my co-founder grew up in Rosario, Argentina, my previous co-founder, my first startup. And he grew up in Rosario, Argentina, but by age 15 or 16, he was putting out code on GitHub on an international repo and building up his reputation on different code languages, right? And he's been being paid by a California-based tech company since he was 15 years old, living in Rosario, Argentina. He's been being paid by them since then. And he learned English by watching Hollywood movies and learning how to code. And if you become a proficient coder, you probably learn how to code by reading things in English. And so even in Ukraine, my guys here who don't speak the best English on the phone, they are great on email communication and written communication, kind of like how Pedro was saying before.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's watch second. Tim Lewis. I'm glad I was able to get you on here. I'm
just
happy.
wanted to say hello, Hartej.
Oh,
What's up, bro? What's going down? How's how's the family?
Everyone, boys are great. Wife is great. It's great. I would invite you to Kiev if you're in Europe. Come, borders are open.
Well,
we can.
I'm expecting. I've got a baby coming on early January. So yeah. But I'm in Germany, bro. So I'm not that I'm not that far away at all. Hopefully, once we start moving around, we can do something. I want to do. We got to catch up because I've done some interesting stuff this year with the DevDAO in different initiatives that I've kicked off, and I really want to break them down to you and catch up. It had been a while when I saw you were going to be on. Wanted to make sure I could come in and
appreciate that.
Say hello, yeah, brother.
All your updates on Casper calls.
Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been good, man. As the market continues to move, people continue to work. I know everything's probably busy. The one question I would have is with security contracts. After the boom and bust of the ICOs, but the security contracts were crazy expensive. And now with the DeFi movement, what are you from a contractual standpoint? What are you seeing in the marketplace? Have the contracts again gone, crazy expensive?
Yeah, it's like they're expensive because everybody's at capacity and there's a global shortage of quality human beings to look at them. And increasingly so, the tooling is not catching the vulnerabilities that we need to find in DeFi, which means 2 to 3 people need to separate themselves in different rooms, or now we're actually all at home, so it doesn't matter, but they need to be completely separated and they need to think, how would a black hat enemy exploit this? And so think about logic exploits that may not, and to really understand the vision of the of the white paper and to marry that to the code takes manual effort more than the tooling. And I would say overall, I'm seeing a mix of some of the most mature projects we've ever seen, where we're the 3rd or 4th auditor and we're working with literally the best teams we've ever worked with. And then at the same time, we have a shitstorm, massive storm of brand new Solidity developers, new teams, new people to this space that clearly have never built and shipped something in this space. So we are a lot more than their auditors. We're teaching them about making sure you have your test suites already written out, that you probably should do a thorough internal audit, and you can't touch that code if you give it to us. Send us shipped code finished. And we're back to people being in a rush, but it's up to us as auditors to just pump the brakes and say, take your time.
Good. One other follow-up real quick. Any other languages that are becoming important? I mean, other than Solidity, have you guys been getting asked if you would say that any other chain? Have you been getting asked about any other chain, or is it still?
Tron has been the next one that we've been getting a couple of requests that have been.
Sorry, Hartej, can you repeat the name? I missed that.
Tron. He said
Tron.
Tron.
Okay, got it.
So he's shouting out Justin's son over there.
And it's crazy because a couple of years ago, none of us ever would have said that name in a sentence without all going, and nope, here we are.
Why do you think that is?
Because they improved and they shipped some functioning products, and people stop calling you a scammer when they make a lot of money.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Look at that.
Hey, Tim, stay with us for a second. But Ben, say hi. Happy to have you on the show. Very happy to have you on the show.
Thank you, guys. Good to see the familiar faces. Tim, I saw you last time in Puerto Rico. Hartej, I think I saw you Consensus 2018.
Yeah.
And Marco, hey man. Gordon, we've been emailing, I guess.
No, I know, but just happy to have you on.
Yeah. Thank you. My name is Ben Lei, and I just want to jump on real quick to say hi. You asked a very important question, Gordon. How do we actually create an educational network where, truth and honesty will be respected? And my question back to Hartej, when you say about, what you're learning, what you're studying, which is incredibly inspiring, and also what Marco is saying about, this whole year, instead of watching Netflix and Prime, whatever, go and study and really, sharpen your mind and study new things. My personal opinion is this: look, we all love crypto and blockchain. We all have incredible life-changing experiences out of that. But at the same time, we tend to forget that we're not the only passionate groups in the world. Like there's so many different groups out there. Like, what I've studied this year is there's a huge revolution going on right now in terms of technology in photonics. Have you ever heard of photonics?
Photonics?
The study of light.
Yeah,
Silicon Valley. The whole Silicon Valley was built on chips, silicon chips. Right now, what we're doing right now is silicon photonics.
Interesting.
Where you don't consume electricity, where you don't consume energy. And that's where, to me, is the future. And blockchain will be changed by that. So that I've been incredibly deep dive into that. This company right here, we started this year, Miracle Attainment. We are a TV network, FCC certified TV network. And we're going to be the first blockchain TV in the USA. And we're going to create a solution that will combat fake news. And that to me is the beauty of it. I love crypto because you guys think, we all think in a way that is beyond the convention, that is global view, that is hopefully mostly compassionate, talking about open borders, talking about the unbanked. But don't forget that there are environmentalists, there are computer scientists, there are cryptographers, as you mentioned before, there are city planners, there are environmentalists, there are scientists out there are, so many passionate groups, and we tend to get into the bubble. And the more we open and migrate our genius to really interact with, say, media. We work in TV. Nobody cares about TV in this thing. I care about TV. My team cares about TV. You know why? Because this thing right here.
Ben, let me jump in 1 second. Just what you're saying is resonating with me. Just to be super clear, I went back into law. It wasn't because I did see an opportunity for doing legal services for crypto startups, but what I saw was that crypto and blockchain, it's not that they necessarily need law, but law needs it. Like law will get better through exposure to crypto and blockchain and computational decision making. I saw a way to address what I found distasteful about law, and law permeates everything. Like I'm in this field personally because I want to make the world a better place, and I'm not just saying that because it's good PR. I'm not that guy. I'm too old to play that game. But I seriously, just a little bit personal. When I was growing up, I think I'm kind of old for this group. When I was growing up, I thought by 2020 we'd be on Mars. I thought we lived in 120. I thought the environment would be solved. I thought we had robots. I thought we'd have flying cars, all this stuff. Okay, it hasn't really happened. And I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated for humanity that it hasn't happened. It pisses me off. It pisses me off also that I'm not going to be able to walk on Mars, probably. And I thought in 1975, when I was 6 years old and was reading The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury, I thought I was going to be able to do that. Okay, or even 9 years old, whenever I was reading it, and it's annoying. So I'm with you.
Wait, Gordon, I think you will be able to. So stop. Stop the
stop being so negative. Actually, Tim,
stop the giving up.
No, hold on.
It's not that far away, man.
Hold on. Stop. Let me punchline it. Okay, which is what, and it was kind of depressing, but I saw a glimmer of hope when I went into crypto, and I got to be straight about it. I think COVID has, in some ways, accelerated the future again. Like I finally feel like the future's beginning to be the future again. Okay, and it's what Tim. I'm thrilled you joined us. So we kind of had a little conversation about this. I feel it's not necessarily the future we were heading towards, but it is a future, and that future is coming faster than it would have already. So yes, it's interesting. We're now beginning to release resources and value and systems and cross-germination in a way that I didn't think was going to happen. Not out of some fatalistic thing, but just like watching for all this time. And I'm freaking pumped. So Ben, I can complete. Tim, this is why you and I are involved. I mean, just be real. Tim and I are working on the DevDAO project along with and Marco and a whole big group of very dedicated people, because I think we see the future and want to make it happen and make it happen right. And the idea between DAOs and DeFi and all this is, Ben, to your point, they're generally applicable tools. They don't live in silos. Their glory is when they're applied to other areas and other areas are applied to them. So I'm with you.
Because of people like you, Gordon, the pioneers, the people who see beyond your legal profession, and we all have this story. To me, I love this community because, you see the future is not going to be Harvard, Stanford, Yale legal attorneys. They're just going to be, they're less than the machine that scan text. People like
I don't want to hate on them, but they need to get out of the big firm mentality and fricking the pirate lawyers. They need to learn how to code. They need to learn how to communicate with people and not be jerks. They need to learn how to be creative, and they need to get out of their national bubbles. Okay, and it's ongoing.
True.
There's this famous statement like the hardest thing in the world is to see what's right in front of your face every day. Okay, that's like the hardest thing, to just see what's right in front of your eyes. And a lot of these people have their worldviews that they just need to be shattered so they can go on and be better people. So I
don't want to take more time, but I just want to end with this as an invitation. We are creating the next ERC20 protocol that will allow anybody to issue any chain, any tokens on any chain at near zero cost fee. And we're going to implement that with a bandwidth-proof blockchain. So Marco knows something about that. I approached him. Hartej, I may reach out to you. I don't know anybody here would like to do some research together, but we're going to make blockchain TV. Remember that miracle attainment.
I think we're going to do a show on this. Blockchain TV sounds like a great idea. Tim, awesome. Hartej, you know what? I think we're going to wrap with you guys. So Tim, maybe you want to throw another question or comment to Hartej, and that seems like ending on a high note. If there's anything you care to breach or add into this.
Hartej, for the last 4 or 5 years, I saw you all across the world, and it had been so fun to be traveling and getting everywhere. I have my own feelings on this and thoughts about it, but how are you handling the virtual conferences, and have you found any that are really, really great? I love this Wednesday bit that Gordon has done because it's fun. It puts a lot of people together, familiar faces. But which have you seen?
Best one I've experienced to date. I wasn't actually invited as a speaker because I'm not as cool as people like Tim and Gordon, but I signed in. It was the Masari crypto one, and it was so cool and seamless how you had this speed dating mechanism where you were forced to be in front of somebody completely random. You had a couple of seconds to decide if you both wanted to stay on this chat, and you had no idea. It was a lottery of who this person could be. And I think I only skipped one because the person was a PR trying to sell me PR. And there's no such thing as crypto PR. Next.
That sounds amazing. What is that chat network that people used to do that with, right? So it basically just it was basic chat roulette. Yeah.
Why not? God.
Chat roulette for conferences is not a bad thing. I'll go check and see what they did on that. Good tip, Hartej.
You create like this invite-only circle. If you really honed in and you brought the right people, forcing people to quickly be like video on and you're meeting them one-on-one, so cool. It's the equivalent of a serendipitous collision during the happy hour at a conference, which is the main thing I care about as a conference, is just meeting other people.
Yeah.
Go to conferences for the keynote speech. I like to learn on YouTube at 2x speed, and he's not speaking at 2x speed in the hall. I don't got time for that. I want to hang Tim in the hallway, give him a big old hug, and talk about like life followed by business, followed by life.
Yeah.
God, love it. Sandra, Hartej, it's been amazing. I think we're at our time. Sandra, I think it's time to land the plane. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's really cool because we had a good view also on the YouTube channel where we're streaming live since of last week. We tested it out. We got a
This
lot
is
of
really picking up. It's
yeah,
cool.
and we have to give a shout out also to Eloisa, who was our speaker last week, because she was the first one on the live YouTube stream, and she put it towards her own contacts, her network. We got I think over 500 or 600 live viewers during the show, which was really fantastic. Yep. And that's what it's all about, Gordon, because, you know, when we started this show 5 or 6 months ago, our main purpose, well, we had several purposes. One is to give back to the community, right? Because it's not only about, you know, what you want to achieve, it's about the bigger perspective, the higher goal, the higher purpose. And we said, okay, we should get our best friends and partners and strategic guys and girls involved in this goal, and let them contribute on whatever they're excited about, what they're willing to share. And also that we provide, let's say, a platform, and it's a non-commercial platform, by the way. So there's no commercial pitching or whatsoever, but we are facilitating so everybody's able to network with one another, not only during the show, but also in the Telegram group, in the LinkedIn page, in Facebook. We are all over the place. So I'm really happy to see that people are connecting. You know, we're making the bridge. We're happy to see that people like Marco, people like Tim, you know, Pedro are joining the show frequently. We really appreciate it. We always say it, but we truly are grateful for you guys to come on the show and keep on coming back, because we need you guys. You know, we all need each other to.
We need more girls. We need more.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, we're working on that, and I'm not kidding.
And I'm still. I know you're not kidding, and I really believe you. And you know, we don't. You don't need to have a show called Women in Blockchain to bring in a lot of the leading women and young ladies in this space, because they've been here since the beginning, and I've never been to a core crypto event where the people running it and organizing, like being the pillars of this community, were not women. So like.
No, you 100%. I'm with the program. You know, I guess I'll point this out. The majority of the people I've interacted in this field have been male. That's just the way it shook out, and I don't think it was because of any internal bias. It's just that's the way it shook out. But But just because that's how it shook out, that doesn't mean that's how it has to stay. And I think you can, you know, Tim and I think I've talked about this, you know, it's good to be proactive. It's good to be open. When the universe says something, don't get defensive. Don't get not invented here syndrome. Just be open. Okay, the world is here to teach us and help us evolve and be better. I try to do that politically. I try to do that emotionally. I try to do that philosophically. And so, yeah, you know, a couple of things have to happen a few times before a pattern emerges, but I did notice in the show that we don't have enough women speakers. We don't have enough. It's not that we don't have enough. It's that
you might want to.
That's almost a negative framing. It's more like I just want more. I just want more. I know there's good people out here, and I want to talk to them. And I think diversity, you know, my English comment from before was I just want to be able to talk to people and hear what they think. And, you know, that's why I'm learning Russian. That's why it's nice for me if they learn English and we kind of meet somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it's good to get different perspectives. And the show I'm doing, James, you know, we're really going out of our way to get female speakers. And I think it's a fantastic idea. Yeah. So I endorse.
But I think you should be mindful of thinking about your format. I don't know. This format's been fine for me. It's been fun. Maybe one thing I've learned is that when you have like a conference room and everyone is just barking across the table, some women colleagues of mine tend to not speak up as much when we've had those types of scenarios where we're just a bunch of men around a table and I'm speaking over you and you're cutting me off and I'm cutting you off. All of a sudden this genius female colleague of mine next to me just hasn't shared her opinion for the last 40 minutes. And it took all of us to kind of realize, calm down and ask her to kind of chime in. Maybe she was nervous, maybe she just didn't feel comfortable. We're different species and we need to be mindful of kind of making everybody feel comfortable. And, you know, we got to think about different formats to make different people feel comfortable. And yeah, I'd love to see more women in these types of chats and not just the same super famous ones. I'd love to see Meltem just conquer and be everywhere.
Hey, I'm open to suggestions if you know people.
Yeah.
And also let me validate your point. I think you're correct. Our normal format, which I actually intentionally broke with for this show, was the first half is just Sandra and I one-on-one with the guest or the panel, and the second half we open it up. And that's because both provide a lot of value. And our alumni group, like Tim and Pedro and Marco, add huge value when they chip in. But we just felt like mixing it up this time because you're you.
Yeah, I'm an extroverted male on top of that. So like, have an introvert, and that'll be different. Like,
Yeah.
But I appreciate the idea, Hartej. I think it's good, and let's make it a group effort of identifying, the ladies out there who want to contribute, because we're an open platform. We're here for everybody, not for a specific target group. So I'm looking forward to inviting more different kinds of people to the show.
A little bit of effort. I'm sure if you go down the rabbit hole of research, just take the top 50 crypto companies, go through their early employees, find females that probably founded one of those companies, if not as one of the early first 10 employees. And there's all kinds of gems out there. And a lot of those ladies I personally found aren't interested in being famous and loud, but they've been in crypto since 2012, 2013. They're full stack engineers. I know security experts. We have a security auditor on my team. That's she's a female, super quiet, super introverted. Yeah, so there's some of the most impressive women in the world that I've ever met are in this space. Elizabeth Stark, Stacey Herbert, Elena Satoshka, founder of the Tracer wallet. No big deal, just the Tracer.
Yeah, no big deal. Okay. Listen, I'm calling the show. Point taken to heart. I'm with you, and you. I won't even say you convinced me because I was already convinced, but you just put a catalyst in the pot, a big one. So I want to thank you for that. I love getting the feedback. Tim's provided a lot of constructive feedback too, and Marco and I bantered back and forth. It's been great. I grow as a person interacting with everyone. So I just want to say thank you.
No, thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you. All right, guys, I'm ending the recording now.
All right.
And show's over. Cool. Hartej, I love you, brother. I want to see you in Kiev so much. I can't wait to see you. It's a beautiful thing. And everyone else, thanks for jumping in. Really appreciate it. And
sounds good, Gordon. Thanks for everybody. Hartej,
Okay,
see you soon.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
See you next week. Bye-bye.